Welcome to Q&A with Qlik. Today we're going to be talking about Qlik Talon Cloud data integration. I want to introduce myself. My name is Troy Rainey. I work helping to put together videos and webinars like this one. We've got a stacked expert panel for you today, and I'll have everyone go around and quickly introduce themselves. Antoine, why don't we start with you?
Hi everybody, I'm Antoine, a product manager for Qlik Talend Cloud Pipelines, especially focusing on ELT transformations.
Fantastic. Ola?
Hi, I'm Ola Meyer. I'm also part of the Qlik Talent Cloud team. I had the data movement, specifically focusing on data movement associated with SaaS connectivity.
Perfect. Chris?
Hi, my name is Chris. I'm the principal technical support engineer here at Qlik Talend. I specialize mainly in Talon Cloud and Talon Data Catalog.
Thanks. Ryan?
Hello, my name is Ryan. I am a senior technical support engineer here at Qlik Talent. I specialize in both CIC continuous integration and Talent Cloud.
Great. Shashi?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Shashi Harlam. I work as a principal technical support engineer, supporting mainly on-prem Replicate and Qlik Talend Cloud. I'm slowly started working on Stitch as well.
Great. Swati?
Yeah, this is Swati. My role here is like principal support engineer, and I specialize in Qlik Replicate, and I started working on Qlik Talent Cloud as well.
Fantastic. Thanks, everyone. Well, when you registered, you had an opportunity to submit some questions ahead of time. When we got a few of those, we'll start with first. But if you have a question, please go ahead and submit it in the Q&A tool. First question. Where can I learn about migrating from on-prem to cloud? Looking for some resources.
Yes, I will take that question. Thank you for asking that question. We do, Qlik does have some resources for those customers who are preparing to migrate their environment from on-prem to cloud. There are two specific documentations that we have. First one is the installation guide, which includes the prerequisites, everything that customers need to know about their instances, how big, what hardware they need, what compatible software underneath is required. And then the second one is a specific migration toolkit, about a specific migration toolkit that can help customers basically gather the users, the groups, the tasks that are currently on their on-prem environment and help them migrate to their new cloud environment, which will help lower the time on what needs to be created, what needs to be migrated, and that should be helpful. So I would suggest for those customers to go through those and gather as much as you have. If you have specific questions or there's an issue, please reach out to Qlik Support for additional assistance.
That's great. Thanks, Ryan. Next question. Please provide timeline on the availability of S3 replication to Snowflake via Stitch/Talend integration, as well as lineage and monitoring across Talend and QCDI. Wow, it's a big question.
I can take this one. So we actually release support for S3 source via Stitch integration, but we released it into QTC basically last Tuesday. So it's been a week and a half since it was released. It's available as a source for QTC and supports all targets that are supported by QTC, including Snowflake.
Fantastic. Great. Next question. Why, when publishing a job for the first time to new environment, it fails, but if instead publishing to the default workspace, it works? And then later republishing it, it works fine as well. It sounds fairly specific. Anyone want to take that one?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and take that, Troy. So for this issue, it sounds like it should be redirected to a Qlik Talon support case. I wish there was a catch-all answer, but there's certain factors we have to check. The version of Studio being used, the actual job itself, versus how other jobs publish. But if you could start with the error when creating the support case, that'll definitely help support navigate that issue and help resolve the publishing error.
Great, thanks. And next question. I'm unable to publish a Talon job from local to TMC and getting the error routines parameter store as compile errors. Any suggestions on what could be wrong? Guess it's similar answer, perhaps.
Yeah, I can answer that. It's, again, also a kind of a support case. It depends on the routine, if it's global, local routine. But we really need to look at the routine, see if we can reproduce that, and then open a support ticket.
Great. Next question. I'm trying to troubleshoot some latency when a task executes, and the metrics tab on the task histories, logs, metrics tab, it's sometimes there, sometimes not. Any idea why? Is there a setting that I'm missing?
I'll also take this one. Not to sound like a broken record, but this one may also require a support ticket. Reason why is because older versions of remote engines, I think if you're using 2.12, it may not show up, or if you're using 2.11, which is not supported, the metrics wouldn't show up, but we'd have to look at the remote engine being used as well as what settings are enabled in the remote engine, and look at the different jobs and see which ones are showing metrics and which ones aren't.
Okay, that's fair. Next question. Is Spark version 2.4 compatible with Talend 8.01 with Cloudera 7.1.7? Looking for some version compatibility there.
I'll take that question, Tony. Thank you for asking. So right now, as of the latest monthly patch for Studio, Spark 2.4 can be used with the dynamic universal Spark distribution. It's kind of considered deprecated, which is kind of end of life, but it still is supported, but it may be dropped in a future release. We do have some documentation on what versions of Spark are supported for universal Spark wise for 801, and how you can actually run it. Those are provided, those are being shared there. One thing that I would say, and if you have specific questions, I would say redirect to create a support case for additional questions. But if the cluster, if there's plans to upgrade the Spark itself on the cluster to Spark 3.x, your team can use your Universal Spark, Universal Spark 3x, which will give more features and more benefits.
Okay. Great. I'm going to jump over to a first live question. Are there real-time CDC streaming features within Talon Cloud compared with Replicate?
I can take that question, Troy.
Great.
Yeah, there is CDC, but if they are looking for Kafka-like streaming, then it will be, currently it is not available, but I think it will be available in near future.
Okay. Great. Next question. When using the Google Analytics 4 run report table, is it possible to incorporate filter inside the with properties section? Do you guys, anybody familiar with that one? It's very specific. Well, now it's a good time, I guess, to bring up a suggestion on our Qlik community. Where was it? On Qlik community, we have some excellent forums. There's over 200,000 members, a bunch of clickies in here, and there's a forum here where you can post questions and perhaps get some input from one of our many cloud members on that topic. Sorry, we don't have anybody with specific input on that one. So move on to the next question. Is it possible to prepare data for QBD files that can be read within Qlik Analytics? Or what is recommended method to prepare data for analytics from Qlik Talon Cloud?
Antoine, do you want to?
Yeah, I can try to answer that. So it would depend on the use case, your data architecture, what you want to put in place. For example, do you have a data warehouse like Snowflake or Databricks to use where you will land the data and transform it there? In which case you would use Qlik Talend Cloud pipelines to prepare the data and then move on to Qlik Analytics. The alternative, because your questions are on QVD, maybe you are loading data and creating QVD directly. So in this case, we would recommend you to prepare the data in Qlik Analytics itself.
Oh, okay.
There are several, features there to prepare data for your analytics use cases. One that we've recently released is what's called data flow. That's a visual designer to transform and prepare your data for analytics apps.
That's excellent. Thank you for bringing that up. That's a really cool feature, data flow. Great. Next question. Could you please provide updates on the timeline for a unified data task management console, allowing orchestration of Talon Studio and Qlik Talon Cloud? And will the solution also provide visibility to lineage across platforms?
I can take that as well. So I'm afraid I'm not able to provide a timeline when it comes to a unified data management console, but we are working on it. We are actively working on unifying the user experience from Talend and Talend Cloud and Qlik Cloud together in one single unified UI. So no timeline yet, but we are working on it. There's a sub-question around the lineage across platform. This is actively worked on. We plan to support cross-platform lineage, so meaning across studio jobs and Qlik Talent Cloud pipelines, all of that visible in what we call data products catalog. And that's coming soon. I guess the plan is for somewhere in Q2 before the summer.
Fantastic. Thank you, Antoine. Next question. Are there any free training videos on the Qlik website for Qlik Talend Learning? There certainly are. Who wants to take that one?
Yeah, well, I can't say for everything, but I can say that there is a free learning for building starter data movement capabilities. That's actually that enablement is actually available directly from the QTC tenant.
Oh, right.
So you don't even need to go to the learning site in order to do that. This is focusing on just building basic connectors and building a replication job.
I love all that end product content that we have. So it's good to let people be aware of that. Great. Next question. Can you create a date time dimension in a QTDI Data Mart?
I can take that. So I'm assuming that's for what we used to call QCDI. That's now called the Qlik Talent Cloud Pipelines, QTC pipelines, and the Data Mart capability we have there. So we don't have a built-in date time dimension feature. We have it planned as part of our roadmap for you to easily create that date time dimension. That's very common. So we want to have that built in as part of the product, as part of the Data Mart task. That will come likely later this year. In the meantime, what you can do is either you already have a table with all the dimension field that you need. You can easily register that into your pipeline, or you can write a SQL statement that will generate that for you. You can find Googling on the internet, that's very common SQL statement that you can find and run so that you have your dimension table created and you can register it with your pipeline.
Great. Next question. Are there any use cases for talent integration for a hybrid cloud and on-prem architecture? And is there available documentation for this?
I can go ahead and take this one. So the only true hybrid cloud product we have is for Talon Data Stewardship, where you install the server on-prem. But a new, specifically for data integration, if you're looking for more on-prem architecture, we have the dynamic engine. That was actually just released this year. So some customers, they don't want their artifacts, their jobs stored in the cloud as well as their logs. So we've introduced a new solution, the dynamic engine environment, that's built on Kubernetes. And that way you can store all your artifacts, logs, and some other information in a more hybrid architecture. But it's still mainly built on cloud. So all your management of users and jobs is in cloud. And we do have documentation for that. And that feature is live if you're interested in implementing that.
Great. Thanks. Next question. Being familiar with Talend, what is the use case? Can customers, or being unfamiliar, excuse me, unfamiliar with Talend, what is the use case? Can customers migrate their on-prem data warehouses to Talend or build a new EDW in Talend, Talon Cloud, or how do the pieces work together between EDW, Talend, and Qlik Cloud for Analytics? It's a good question. What is the overview for everyone's data?
That's a very vague question, large question.
Yeah.
So let's start. Let's try to draw a simple picture. Talend is a data integration tool, Talend Studio. Generally, you create ETL jobs with Talend that will take data somewhere, transform it using our engines, like the dynamic engine that was just mentioned, and then you will land this data somewhere else for some other tool to consume. That's one way. You can use Talend to integrate your data and move data from A to B. We also have, as part of Qlik Talon Cloud, we also have the pipelines capability, which is more around ELT instead of ETL use cases. So with ELT, you will use generally a data warehouse that you have here, for example, Snowflake, and you will connect to whatever source system you want to replicate to your data warehouse, to your Snowflake, and then we can help you transform this data with the pipeline transformation capabilities. And this transformation will happen on Snowflake using SQL pushdown. And this is easy then for example, Qlik Analytics to consume and use to create your own dashboards. So different options, a lot of options for you. I would say, contact us with more with a description of what you want to achieve, your use case, and so on, and we'll help you find the right tool for the job.
That's a good explanation. And one of the things that I always admire about Qlik is how it's very system agnostic. We'll be able to connect to pretty much wherever your data is and move it and read it from wherever you want it to be. So it's we're a bit unique that way, I think. A great explanation. Next question, another high level one. What's the difference between Qlik Talend, Qlik Replicate, and Qlik Compose?
Yeah.
I heard a couple voices on that. Who wants to take it? Shashi?
Yeah, I can take that. So Qlik Talent is our SaaS offering. It's we renamed it recently to Qlik Talent because we are getting all the talent pipelines and all the features within the Qlik Cloud environment. So Qlik Talent is our cloud SaaS offering for the data integration. So it basically runs on the replicate engine to get the data from your on-prem sources, or we can directly get from cloud sources as well. So with Qlik Replicate and Qlik Compose, that was the on-prem tool, right? That you would install it in your local environment and use the tool to integrate. But in Qlik Talent, everything is on cloud. So that's the main difference. But Qlik Talent can also do the same thing that Qlik Compose and Qlik Replicate does. Like you can get the data from your source and build a Data Mart. So basically it's the same, but on cloud. Hopefully I answered it correctly, Ola and Anton.
Yeah,
if you want to correct me,
that's
you
a perfect response,
Yeah.
perfect answer. Yeah, I think you have
Yeah.
two flavors, depending on the way you want to deploy the software. You want to have it all installed on your premises and manage it on your own. That's Qlik Replicate and Qlik Compose.
Yeah.
Or you want us to host all of these applications, all of these administration console monitoring and so on for you on our SaaS. But you can still deploy our application engines wherever you want on your architecture, including on-prem, with Qlik Cloud managing that. So it's just a matter of, I would say, deployment preference. But yeah, you covered it very well, Sashi.
Great. Next question. Can Qlik to Talend integration be automated? Do we have any connector to integrate them automatically, reducing manual efforts? I'm not quite sure exactly what they want to be automated, if it's the migration or if it's the data. But who wants to try and address that? Maybe we can get some clarification. But since it is perhaps a common question, let's take the topic of migration first. If the question's about how to migrate from Qlik to Talend, are there any automated tools there in that toolkit that was demonstrated?
I don't understand the question. Why migrating from Qlik to Talend? I don't get
Yeah.
question. Exactly.
Yeah, maybe there is a specific use case you try, and then also the question, are you trying to migrate from, let's say, Talent Studio on-premise to Qlik Talend Cloud? So I think it's better to provide a more detailed use case scenario before we answer.
Sure. All right. We'll move on to the next question. Are there any best practices you could share for creating data products with QTC and reusing these to compose new data products? So looking for some best practices when creating data marts and such.
So creating and defining data products is a best practice. One. And reusing, data sets or sets of data sets, which we call data products, is also another best practice. I would say I don't work on that data produce catalog piece of the product day to day, but I would say generally what we try to do with QTC pipelines and data produce catalog is really to help you, with the building blocks that we provide to help you do it the right way. Then to your question, do we have best practices? I'm not sure we have best practices that are available as a documentation or something, but that's a good question. We'll need to double check that. I'm not sure.
That's fair. Next question. Will the extract, load, transform approach always remain, or will extract, transform, load also be possible at some point in QTC?
So extract, transform, and load, ETL, is available in QTC because in QTC you have both flavors available. We have QTC pipelines for ELT, and you have Talent Studio for ETL. So if you want to do ETL, pick Talent Studio. That's part of what we call QTC, Qlik Talent Cloud. Qlik Talent Cloud supports these two integration styles, let's say.
Fantastic. A next question. In QTC, are there any timelines for a generic API connector? And if not, what workarounds would you suggest for ingesting API data using QTC, if any?
I'll take this one. So, in general, from the feedback that we're getting from our customers, primarily, basically, customers not necessarily looking to develop connectors on their own, they would like us to provide a very large support matrix that covers everything. And we, as part of the roadmap, we are planning to launch a connector on demand program, connector factory on demand, which will provide customers a way to accelerate the requests and for us to develop requests on demand of a variety of connectors. Once we build up this infrastructure as part of this program and kind of will facilitate better and faster connectors development, we will consider if we also want to open this up to generic connection creation or customer-specific connection creation.
Great. Thank you. Next question, another GA4 query, sorry. GA4 has query token limits, which can be returned from another GA4 query, which can be returned from an API call, sorry, with return property quotes equals true. Is there a way to include this or otherwise monitor tokens from the Talon connector? Anybody familiar with G4A queries?
So I would suggest to create a support case to ask for this feature. And this can be promoted as a feature request if that's something that's missing. So yeah, I would suggest to reach out to support for this question.
And it's a good time to bring up ideation on Qlik Community under support ideation. There's a great place where you can suggest product enhancement and feature requests. And you can see the other product enhancement and feature requests that customers have already suggested and vote for them. And I know this is a really good channel for product management to get input directly from customers on what improvements we should be adding to the product.
You're right, Troy. That's actually a better answer. They should probably create an idea here instead of reaching out to support. That's more a feature request, I guess. Yeah.
Great. Okay, next question. Are there certifications for Qlik Talon Cloud?
The answer, we do have a certificate for that. You need to go through Qlik Learning to find that certificate, but it's Qlik Talon Cloud Administrator. They recommend 6 months of Talon Cloud, or have 6 months experience with Talon Cloud before taking the test. It's open book, so you can keep a studio open, TMC open, and help documentation when you are taking that test.
Great. Yeah, so check out learning.qlik.com for more details about that certification. I think there's also some information right on qlik.com if you look under Learn. Thanks. Next question. Is Qlik working on a migration tool to convert on-prem tasks from Replicate and Compose over to Qlik Talon Cloud for those who are switching to cloud? Great question.
Good question. Yes, we are. So we are actively analyzing this and looking at ways for customers to move their replicate jobs to Qlik Talon Cloud and as well for Compose. So later on that, more on that later this year. That's something we have as part of our plans, and yeah, we are analyzing this and working on offering solutions for those migration use cases.
Yeah. So the tooling is certainly improving and more to be coming soon, but there's some resources out there. Next question. Are there any plans to offer a simplified Talon Studio experience in Qlik Talon Cloud with access to the same capabilities and components available in the Talon Studio desktop?
I think there's plans to do Town Studio Lite at some point, potentially offer it in Qlik Talon Cloud. I don't know if that is still being developed or if there's a timeline for that at the moment, though. I think if you're looking for a more simplified version, or still just looking for those connectors to create them easily, maybe look at Stitch. But for specifically Studio experience directly in Town Cloud, I don't know the timeline on that.
Small correction, look at QTC instead of Stitch.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Thank you for that correction.
Great. Next question, and these are great questions, by the way. Keep them coming. Can Qlik to Talend integration be automated? Oh, do we have any connectors to integrate them? Oh, right. I think we got some follow-up here. Regarding the Qlik to Talon Cloud question that came up earlier, thank you for some more clarification. Regarding this, if tasks like writing some Excel data should be automatically integrated to Qlik, for example, write to Talend from Qlik. So we're looking for some automation. Writing to Talend from Qlik.
Yeah, so we have a capability in Qlik Talend Cloud that's called automations, but I'm not, so that's to automate workflows, between and integrations between applications. I'm not sure this question is related to that. I'm sorry, I still don't understand the part that is write to Talend. Talend is not a destination. It's not a database. It's not a system. It's more, it's an integration tool helping moving data from A to B. So write to Talend, I don't get that part.
But if you're trying to load data from Excel into Qlik Cloud in general, there's certainly ways to automate that, if that's the basic question. And
for example, we are planning to we're adding support for file sources. We just releases, like the question before was asked about S3 source, and there will be other type of data sources. And those data sources will be supporting variety of data formats, including Excels and JSON and CSVs. So not necessarily Talend specifically, but you will be able to go into Qlik Talon Cloud and capture data from your Excel source, deliver it to the destination of your choice, if that's the question.
Great, I hope that helps. And one of the great things with having a forum like this, there was one of our participants added some feedback on the question regarding Google Analytics 4 runtime report, asking to check out the custom component developed by Jan Lolling for Google Analytics 4. And I've got a link here that I'd be happy to share. Oops. On GitHub. That this is a component that might be interesting. Thank you for that. Great. Okay. Next question. It's a follow-up question about Qlik Talon Cloud certifications. I only find certifications for Qlik Talon Cloud, not Qlik. I only found certifications for Talon Cloud, not Qlik Talon Cloud. Oh, it's good to clarify.
Yeah, it may just be called Talon Cloud certification right now. I don't know if they added the Qlik in front of it. So that's probably the certificate finding. But if it's talking about administration in Talon Cloud, I'm just knowing how to create projects, manage users, and then basic studio functions, that should be the right certificate, Ryan.
Yes, that's correct.
Oh, the guess is Ryan.
Oh, sorry, sorry.
Yeah, you too, Ryan, though. Yeah.
Well, that's great. It's good to clarify because it can be confusing with all the name changes. I'm not seeing any other questions coming in at the moment.
Roy, maybe a bonus answer to the previous question. I'm aware that we are working on a certification for Qlik Talend Cloud Pipelines. It should be coming soon and added to the catalog of certifications.
Ooh, great. There's a link to today's survey. And we had a follow-up about the writing and asking for further explanation. So I'll just read it. Can Qlik Talon Cloud integration be automated? Do we have any connectors to integrate them automatically, reducing manual efforts? Regarding this, if tasks like writing some Excel data should be automatically integrated to Qlik, for example, writing to Talend from Qlik. Can you please explain it again? So I'm not sure what part exactly, but we're definitely looking for reducing manual efforts. I understand that. And writing some Excel data should be automatically integrated to Qlik. Okay.
I believe I answered that question. So when you again, the question is, what do you mean by writing to Talend? As that one said, Talend is not a destination; it's just a tool. So
Sure.
if you're
But-
looking to write data from Excel to Snowflake, then the answer yes. We're planning like there will be more and more. Like we released S3 as a repository, we're planning to release ADLS. We're looking into SFTP with these types of data formats.
I think it could just be Qlik Analytics, because if you're just loading from Excel and trying to automate that data from Excel into Analytics or Qlik Cloud, there's certainly ways to ease that process. And there's an AI engine that will analyze your data and provide suggestions on how to connect that to what you may already have and build analytics based on it. So there's a lot of tools to make that process easier for you. Next question. We got a few more have come in. Is there some kind of training for Qlik Talon Cloud specifically for people coming from Talon Studio? Like, hey, jobs in Talon Studio are called X, but in Qlik Talon Cloud it's this. Something like along those lines. Should have had someone from the education department in this panel, but
So we do have a training for Qlik Talend Cloud Pipelines that's available in the learning area.
Great, thank you. Next question. I have observed that when we create a case with Qlik for any product, they say it's was working previously and not working now, then they support it. Otherwise, they mention it's a new development effort and the support has been refused for that. Has anyone experienced this situation? Oh,
I'll jump in. I'm not exactly, I can't speak for everything.
sure.
There are certain use cases where some products were there, or some products, some processes were there. Either they were changed or they were unofficial, they were dropped, and then a new process came in. So I don't want to be very uh specific with it because there's a lot of it. What I would say is that if you do have any concerns, I would definitely reach out to your account manager, CSM, let them know so that they can work with our team, our support teams to validate those concerns for you.
Great, good answer. Next question. Would it be possible in the future to run a Talend data preparation in a Qlik Talon Cloud data pipeline, i.e. S3 to Snowflake, now that that is available?
It is part of our plans to support data preparation kind of user experience and data preparation workloads as part of QTC. This will be available at some point. This is part of our roadmap. The
Fantastic.
integration points that we are looking at in the platform is especially around the data products catalog, where you can have data products available, curated for you, and you can come and read the data from them and prepare them for whatever use case you need them for.
Great. And perhaps the last question we have today. In regards to data governance with Qlik Talon Cloud, can Talon write back to a data source such as Oracle Fusion before processing the data into Qlik? So I guess looking for write back capabilities.
Yeah, so basically, Talent Studio and its ETL capability, you can write in any in one way or another. So you can definitely implement write back that's agnostic from source and destination. This is agnostic by definition.
Great. Good answer. Well, I want to thank everybody on the panel. It's been great. And thank you for the wonderful questions. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thank you, everyone.
Yep. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.